Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. We are up to episode 65, and tonight we have a special Looney guest with us. We'll be covering a classic run of Moon Knight now, which is a cameo appearance in Amazing Spider-Man number 220. So, grab your issues, sit back, relax, and get your conchu on. Yes, welcome back, Loonies. It is episode 65. The Moon Knight train is chugging along. Connor tonight is a little MIA, I must say. He went off to Khonshu's temple in Egypt to have a look, and we've lost communication with Connor. So hopefully he's all well and good, and he returns to Grant Mansion in one piece. But in the meantime, we do have a returning special guest with us, one of our favourite Loonies. It's Josh Geronimo Johnson. How are you, Josh?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back again.
Excellent. Yes, Josh, it's always good to have you across here. And been popping up a few episodes, which is always fun. Look, before we get into, obviously, the main crux of this episode, which is the Classic Run review, I know that you briefly mentioned to me before having some interest in particular with Amazing Spider-Man 220. What significance does it hold for you?
It's just in that real era of Marvel that I really like the 80s Marvel is like my favorite era of comics. And so it's kind of right in the crux of that. And when you read it, it's kind of a good classic team up between the two of them, to be honest. So that's kind of like the big things that make me like it.
Okay.
Plus, I do actually have it in physical form too. So. Oh,
nice, nice. Does it? Oh, did it cost much, or is it?
No, I got it. I think I got it in like a dollar bin. I think somewhere.
You Americans and your dollar bins. God. Yeah, I mean, having read it, it's a great. We'll get into it. It's a great issue. I guess, no major new appearances of anyone or anything. So, apart from its age, I guess, the value, I guess, would have been pretty steady throughout the course up until today. But yeah, there's a dollar bin. I've got to really catch up on my Moon Knight collecting. I was just thinking about it the other day. And, just thinking about, who was it? I was actually listening to a podcast, and one of the dudes on there, I'll give another shout out. This is for Epic Marvel Podcast, hosted by Curtis Findlay. He had a special guest there, and they were doing the Epic collection of The Punisher, Capital Punishment. And the gentleman on there, he has every single appearance and issue of The Punisher, similar to, how like some of our Loonies, like Luis, has every single Moon Knight issue. And I was just thinking, oh man, that will, I've really got to step up my game here. It sounds like you've got your collection well underway, Josh.
Yeah, I have almost the entire Mark Spector run. I just need issue 57, right? And I have that entire run.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some of the 1980 run, and then the other stuff I sort of had kind of in trade form. But with his guest appearances, I only have a couple. I have this one. There's one in the Avengers that he's in. I think it's issue 211, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Defenders too. His 4-issue run in the Defenders.
Yeah. And you got Round Robin, I'm assuming.
Oh, duh! How did I forget that?
Yeah.
So I'm sort of getting there.
Yeah, it's a whole new kettle of fish, isn't it? With appearances, because let alone there's a monumental effort to get all the Moon Knight comics. But the appearances is I'm always impressed when people have a good bunch of the appearances of their favorite character. And I can't believe the Punisher. He's a lot more vast, I guess, than Moon Knight. So this guy, and he exclusively collects Punisher. He doesn't really bother about anything else. Although he did mention he'll he'll look into getting the Moon Knight Epic collection. But yeah, having all of the Punisher, I must say that he did say on the podcast, the only one that he hasn't got was that very first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man, funnily enough. With, that famous cover, Josh, with the Punisher?
Right, I actually just picked it up. I don't know if you buy them, but Marvel puts out the True Believers reprints. Mm-hmm. They just put out the reprint of that one.
Ah, yes.
So I just picked it up. And read it for the first time last week, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, those True Believers. I never did consider buying them, but I guess they'd be quite fun rather than like waiting for, say, an Epic collection or something to come out. They do put out all the milestone issues, don't they, of Marvel throughout history, I guess. So you're looking at that issue. I guess they would have the, for instance, the Fantastic Four issue 1, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to get like physical copies. Yeah, granted they're reprints because if you want to buy like the actual one, it'd be thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But they're only at least for us, they're only $1.
Yes.
So that's even cheaper than buying it like digitally, and it's nice to actually have a physical form too.
Oh, that is a good point as well, because I was thinking, like with my collector hat on, whenever I see them in the store, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, but why would anyone buy them? Because they would have no market value. But you raise a good point. It's actually cheaper than a digital copy, and you get the you get the physicality of it. So that's that is a good point actually. Far out. I might have to start looking into that. I'm sure they'll have, if not already, a lot of first appearances of like Venom. He's a bit of a flavor of the month, isn't he? With the movie kind of coming out and the series doing so well. Have you caught that movie, Josh?
Not yet. I was gonna try to this weekend, but other stuff came up, so I might go do it tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah. Are you collecting the Donny Cates volume Venom? Sorry.
I've kind of slowed down on my buying the new issues now because of financial reasons.
Yeah.
I haven't picked up any really newish comics since last week, and I've kind of cut down my pull list. So.
Yeah, the bane of the comic collector, eh? The pull lists seem to expand and contract every now and again. I think I've come out of that lull, and I'm kind of adding a little bit more now. But I'm sure, by the end of the year or early next year, it's going to contract again. But we'll see what happens. The good thing, and I think I've mentioned it before, is that a lot of the series now are so limited in their run. They're literally limited series, right? Even if they go for, say the Moon Knight, for instance, Max Bemis's run, it's 12 issues, and that's it. It's capped. So the good thing about that is that you get a bit of a break. You can try other series out. I had a look at the Quicksilver one. That was a 5-issue series. So constantly the pull lists are changed. I can't imagine being a comic store owner and having hundreds of customers constantly changing their pull lists.
Right.
Yeah, I know the guys at King's Comics Gym. He's very good with it. He doesn't. I'm assuming he doesn't mind. But it would be a constant thing these days. Whereas in the old days, I remember back in the 90s, you just have one standard list of what you wanted, and that could last for literally 100 issues or so. Also, the other big thing that's kind of happened this week, or is happening now, I guess, this weekend, is, of course, a lot of comic book fans would know about New York Comic Con, which is on at the moment. I haven't really been following this, Josh. I've been trying to, but it's hard when, obviously when life gets in the way and stuff. With San Diego Comic Con, I used to watch it live on YouTube. I haven't even bothered to check if New York Comic Con have that similar deal. But have you been following it perhaps at all, or just catching some of the articles?
Not really. I usually don't pay much attention to Comic-Con unless like a big trailer or something comes out.
Yeah.
I know they did release like an Aquaman trailer, but I haven't
Yeah.
even gotten around to looking at that yet. But
Yeah. Are you an Aquaman fan? Or...
not really. But the first trailer actually has me kind of interested, so I'm gonna go see it regardless.
Yep.
But I am looking forward to it though.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't collect it, and I can't say I'm a DC fan. Not because I hate them. It's just that I don't collect them. But yeah, no, I'll watch it. I've only been burnt once, really, and that was Suicide Squad. But BVS and even the Justice League, I didn't mind it. I think it was good. It's a lot of fun. Different kind of movies than your MCU movies, but the Aquaman movie looks, is pretty cool. And let's face it, they beat Marvel to the punch by having some underwater hero. I'm waiting for Namor, but I guess we'll get Aquaman first.
Yeah, I think there's some rights kind of things that are preventing them from making a Namor thing. I think
yes,
Universal
yeah,
has the rights for that.
Yeah, spot on. I think that was the same. So Namor and the Hulk were kind of tied up with Universal, and I don't know the legalities of it all, but he's hoping that he comes back to the MCU soon. Just as an aside, and this is not necessarily Moon Knight related. Let's just jump into the New York Comic Con because that's where I heard it. They're going to release a new Invaders comic, I believe. I think towards the end of the year or maybe even early next year. And of course that will have the Submariner in that, which is pretty good. I'm looking forward to that. And he's been actually featured in the latest Avengers comic as the next big bad. I guess their first arc had finished with the first host and the Celestials. And we're left with Namor. Look, hopefully no spoilers. Sorry, actually, I think I did. But anyway, Namor. He's the next big bad, it seems, at the Avengers by Jason Aaron. So that should be pretty good. Look, yeah, like yourself, Josh. Yeah, very limited viewing and following of New York Comic Con. I have a sentimental bit for NYCC only because I remember, did you watch when they introduced Sigourney Weaver for the Defenders? Like a couple of years ago, or I can't remember, last year or the year before that?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
No, you don't? Oh, I watched that. I know this is quite tragic. I watched that 4 or 5 times. It was such a big thing. I remember when they first announced it, and no one knew. And it was spontaneous on there, and then they brought Sigourney Weaver out, and it was just priceless seeing the looks of Finn Jones's face and Kristen Ritter, how excited they were. And then Sigourney Weaver came out, and then the whole crowd just started chanting "Holy shit, holy shit!" And it was real. Oh man, it was so cool, and kind of like obviously not being there, but being there during that moment. It was so monumental for me, so I just watched it over and over again. I'm not sure if they'll have any big moments like that in New York Comic Con this year, but the couple that I've picked up, I guess Marvel related and sticking with Marvel, the cast of Marvel's Runaways, they revealed the season 2 premiere of New York Comic Con. So if you like your Runaways. Look, I don't mind those series as well. I think they're quite fun. Runaways and Cloak and Dagger. Again, Josh, had you managed to catch any of them?
I did watch. I watched all of Cloak and Dagger, and then I think right after the last episode of Cloak and Dagger, they had the first episode of Runaways on.
Oh, okay.
I only watched about half it. I'm like, I'm not really into this.
Okay. Yeah, it's very different. And that, I love that about Marvel, how these TV shows are all different. They're not all the same. They're not all the same formula. But yeah, I would have imagined you'd be pretty keen on Cloak and Dagger with the Spider-Man connection there, Josh. I mean, they're pretty interesting. Did you find that series true to character, or were you, I don't know, disappointed by the lack of comic bookedness?
Actually, I really don't know that much about Cloak and Dagger.
Okay.
But you know, I did enjoy the series. It wasn't too long. It was only 8 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there wasn't really any superheroing, really,
yeah.
I mean, I guess with them, like with their identities,
Yep.
I still liked what it did, and it showed that even on like network TV, they can still do some like mind bendy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of good for us, because maybe that means maybe Moon Knight will be able to get something on network. Maybe it won't be. They might not be able to do as many violent things, but they can definitely do the mind twisty things. So. Yeah.
That's a good point as well. I was surprised, I don't know if you felt the same with Cloak and Dagger, at how much they got away with being a freeform network. I didn't imagine, I mean, there were some, quite adult themes there and implied violence, which would serve Moon Knight well, I think, if he did end up in that same kind of fold with the Runaways and Cloak and Dagger. And I believe Runaways and Cloak and Dagger will be overlapping as well, so you might get a guest appearance from one person or the other. So I like how they kind of stitch that together. But yeah, okay. Oh, it's good to hear that you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it myself, and I thought eight episodes was a decent amount. I loved the 2 leads. I thought they were pretty good, and kind of looking forward to, because the whole season they weren't really together, were they? So I'm kind of looking forward to them, actually being a couple. But yeah, it's good. So yeah, anyway, Runaways revealed season 2. The other thing I saw was Sophie Turner, who plays Jean Grey. She talks about how emotionally taxing the role of Jean Grey is in Dark Phoenix. Josh, have you seen the trailer for this?
I did. I cannot remember a single frame of it, though.
Excellent. I'm kind of similar as well. I saw on Twitter someone saying underwhelmed, and I'd probably agree with that. I do like the characters, but look, I'm not really... And as much as I do like the X-Files, I'm not kind of rushing to see this. It hasn't piqued my interest. So, anyway, I do like Sophie Turner. She's from Game of Thrones. That's how I remember her. So yeah, I mean, well, let's see. We'll have to wait and see with that. I hear also the New Mutants movie is suffering some more delays and such. I think so. That's kind of worrying. I'm kind of hoping they all get these movies out of the way, and then Disney and MCU can take over. I wanted to see the wheels start turning to actually get the mutants in the MCU. I think that'll be pretty good. Also, just as another bit of news, just came to my mind then, Josh, I'm not sure you've been trawling through Twitter or heard about the Chris Evans statement on Twitter. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. I think people... I don't know if people are reading too much into it, because he never really says on there that, I'm done being Captain America.
Yes.
But it will kind of suck that if he is going to stop being it, but
yeah.
I mean, at the same time, he's been doing it for... Yeah. I saw someone post something that he's been in a Marvel movie every year since the first Captain America, whether it's cameo or not.
Yeah, he's been a pretty big role, and he really has made it his own. He does, previous interviews he's mentioned how taxing it is physically, trying to get ready to be, in Captain America form, which is totally understandable. Yeah, you're right though. He doesn't give too much away, but you can really read a lot into it. And I was thinking though, there's no way Marvel would have allowed him to be so blasé about saying, that's it for him, or even implying that Captain America dies in Avengers 4, which people are speculating. So I think, I don't know, a bit of smoke and mirrors here as well. Obviously, there's genuine emotion. He's probably, very genuine when he says that it's such an experience, and he feels so honoured to be it. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. And with him obviously hanging up the role as Cap, I mean, that is coming, isn't it? I mean, we're all kind of dreading it, but unfortunately, sooner or later, that mantle will be passed over. And as Kevin Feige said ages ago, he views all the Marvel characters similar to like James Bond. You know, they can be recast and they can continue going. And it's just a reality, isn't it? I mean, everyone ages, so you can't be Logan or you can't be Captain America forever, which is sad, but yeah. But it just kind of hits home when you read tweets like that, I guess. Also, okay, well, sorry, Josh, did you want to say anything there?
I was just gonna say, at least with the character of Captain America, they can pass the mantle on to a different character if need be. If they still want to continue like that mantle on, they can still give it to Bucky or to Falcon. So they do have that opportunity to do that if he does decide he's done.
Yeah, that's true, and they do set that up, or they have already set that up so well in the comics that, yeah, I mean, it won't ruffle the feathers of avid comic book fans, I guess. I mean, there always will be people that love the legacy character and want Steve Rogers, but yeah, absolutely, there's a lot of scope to try something else, and I wouldn't mind seeing Bucky Barnes as Captain America, actually, or Sam Wilson, although I would love to see Anthony Mackie a bit more under the spotlight. I mean, I know he's a periphery character, and he had that role in Ant-Man, which was cool, but yeah, he needs a bit more, I think, and yeah, happy to see him carry the shield too. All right, and there are a few bits of news here. Look, there was nothing on Moon Knight, so Loonies, once again, we've got to put our tail between our legs and just wish for tomorrow when there might be another article or some sort of speculation on Moon Knight. But a couple of other big things in New York Comic Con, obviously, and another one was actually released today, the official trailer for Daredevil Season 3, which is absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait for this series. No spoilers, but there was a new trailer just released, a fair few hours ago. So no spoilers here, but I will ask Josh if you have you seen the trailers?
Yeah, I've seen the official one and the one that released a couple hours ago, and I cannot wait for it to come out.
Isn't it good? Oh gosh, we're gonna have to talk about that next episode. But every trailer just seems to get you pumped. I'm assuming perhaps this has 13 episodes, Josh. I'm not sure if you've come across otherwise. Considering Iron Fist only had 10, I wonder if this will have just 10 or it might have the full complement of 13. Do you know?
No, I'm not sure, but I hope it's 13. I think they might have just did Iron Fist at 10 because that wasn't really well received.
Yep.
So maybe they're like, let's not overstay our welcome. Let's just put out what we got. But I'm hoping this one is 13 because...
Yeah.
The more, the better. Yeah,
exactly. I think I tend to agree as well. I think they probably were always going to have to, they always had a finite amount of episodes, I believe, I guess, that Netflix and Marvel had contractually agreed to, and it was all about how they spread it. And so, they probably did think, okay, let's give Iron Fist 10. Daredevil, let's face it, I think out of all of them is well, for me, anyways, the top show out of all of them, and so I would give it 13 as well. Out of all of them, Josh, would you rate Daredevil your favourite, or do you have another one?
Oh no, Daredevil is definitely the best one for me.
Yeah, it has a good level of darkness, action, and drama. It does. It has everything. I do like the Season 2 of Luke Cage, and I must say, I did enjoy Iron Fist Season 2, but they're all so different, and I think Daredevil's the most consistent and the most accessible, I guess. So Daredevil Season 3 trailers were out. There were a whole heap of other trailers out in New York Comic Con. Now, also, I'll leave that to last. Also, there's been some announcements for Spider-Man fans. I mean, considering, I guess, we have an amazing Spider-Man comic that we're going to review tonight. It was announced that Australian writer Tom Taylor will be taking on a new Spider-Man title. I think it's called Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which should be interesting. I wonder, again, if it's just a very limited series or not, because it's not your typical Amazing Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man. But Yeah, I'd be keen to follow this as well. Josh, are you familiar with a lot of Tom Taylor's work?
The name sounds familiar. I feel like I have read something or heard of something, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I can't pinpoint in my brain right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he does. He did a lot of X-23, I think, and he's doing X-Men Red at the moment. He's doing a few mutant stuff. I think that's the main ones. And he's doing something in DC. I think Injustice or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's where I've heard of him from.
Okay. Yeah, he's pretty cool. I had a quick chat with him at Free Comic Book Day this year. Very nice chap. And glad to hear, well, he's got a big title now. Amazing. I mean, a Spider-Man title is a big thing. So well done there for Tom. Also, as well, Marvel Studios are reportedly developing a Dark Avengers film. This will be pretty cool. Again, the question is begged, would Moon Knight be in it? I don't believe he was in the Dark Avengers. He was in the Secret Avengers, which was covered by Tommy in one of our trade reviews. But Dark Avengers, Josh, are you familiar with this title or these characters?
I know of the concept. I've never read any of it, but I know it's basically that was Norman Osborn basically collecting villains to make his own quote-unquote Avengers team.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling you probably know more about it than I do, because
that's pretty much all I know.
Yeah, well, okay, that's I wouldn't have been able to say that, but I agree with you because that I think I remember that, along the lines of it. Okay, well, that could well be. Yeah, that would be fun. I mean, there's all this talk. I mean, they were talking about the Eternals. There's all these projects that there's even the project that this. I can't remember the guy's name, but he had as a secret Marvel project, and they thought it was going to be Damage Control. That's never surfaced. I don't know. It seemed like there's a whole lot of ideas spinning around. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll get made, but you can discuss them. So if it's on the table for discussion, then all well and good. But yeah, let's just see, I guess, what comes of it. But yeah, Dark Avengers film. I mean, that's cool. I mean, Moon Knight's dark, so. Maybe, you never know. And finally, Josh, I wanted to announce this. This was announced in New York Comic Con as well. A little nod to our round robin review, and a little nod to the Rick Ball special. Hasbro has announced a new line of Marvel Legends. There are a fair few of them. Some of them are the Infinity War characters, so to speak, I guess, like the Dark Order or the Black Order. I can't remember what they're called. A few of them. There's one of my favourites, Forge, the mutant. He's been revealed as a figure, but none other than Night Thrasher. We'll finally get a Night Thrasher figure.
Yes.
Yeah, how cool is that? So, so you can literally reenact Round Robin, I'm assuming, with your Hasbro figures. Because there's now Darkhawk, Moon Knight, Punisher, Amazing Spider-Man, Nova. They're all there, and Night Thrasher has now been revealed. So I'm sure Rick will be dipping into his funds to China, and he'll be forking out this one as soon as he can. But yep, I mean, there you go. Other than that, there's a whole lot of other stuff at New York Comic Con. What I've been suggested. From Derek, actually, from Defenders TV podcast. Go check out the Sci-Fi website. They cover everything live. There's a lot of live streaming there. Otherwise, check out Twitter, follow NYCC, and see what news takes your fancy. Well, with that, and with that as well, Josh, we unfortunately, there's no words on the street from our man on the street, Tommy. We got a little message there. He is continuing his ongoing investigation to Jenna's Diner and to the back alleys of New York, asking salubrious characters what's going on. Nothing has turned up yet. Yep, so no word on the streets this week. But how about, Josh, we just take a quick break, and then let's get into our review of Amazing Spider-Man.
Hi, this is Dave.
And I'm Stu, and we're from the Signal of Doom.
We're proud members of the Collective, and you're listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, Loonies, welcome back. We are in our LUNAR-PICK, which is, sorry there, the prompt sheet says modern. No, it's our classic review. And due to the phase of the moon, it is, of course, a waning crescent, if you look up into Khonshu's eye. And that means it is, of course, yes, a classic run. So we have Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, Issue 220. And can I ask you, Josh, where would this be available on?
Okay, you can find it just in your single issue form. Mm-hmm. It's on a Comixology and Marvel Limited, so you can get it digitally, and it's also in the Marvel Essential Collection of Spider-Man Volume 10.
Yeah, that's I think that's long been out of print. It's one of those black and white ones. But if you can hunt it down, please do. I had a little trawl through as well. It's very hard to find reprints of 220, so your best bet would be digital or Marvel Unlimited. And as you know, maybe similar to Josh, if you do pick up one in the bargain bin, just pick one up for $1. Josh, we have also the credits for this issue. Would you mind reading these out?
Yep, so it's Amazing Spider-Man number 220, released in September of 1981. The title is A Coffin for Spider-Man. Written by Michael Fleischer. Bob McLeod is on pencils and inks. Colorist is Bob Sharen. Letterer is also Bob McLeod. And editor is Denny O'Neil.
Wow, issue was almost done entirely out of Bob's, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so this is... there's also a backup story to this, which I didn't bother putting the details in. And there was a small backup story with Aunt May. We're not going to go into that. We're just going to concentrate on the Moon Knight appearance. So, for listeners that aren't aware, what we'll usually do is we'll give a sliver, a very short synopsis of what this issue entails. And then Josh and I will just freeform into some discussion about our favourite points, you know, maybe speculations or tying it into Moon Knight's current run, and we'll end it with a moon rating, which can be quite technical, but you know, it's a lot of fun anyway. So anyway, I'm not sure, we haven't rehearsed this, Josh. Do you want to give a go at the sliver, or I'm happy to give it a go myself?
I'll take a crack at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so basically, Moon Knight is, he is sort of committing crimes, quote unquote. Basically stealing stuff that's worth money for a crime syndicate, and it's sort of a competition to whoever can get to $10 million worth of stuff stolen for them gets to become the secretary of the syndicate. And during a heist at a museum, some of his competitors break in to steal it, and Moon Knight goes in and steals it for himself. And he's confronted by Spider-Man, who they go and they fight it out. But then it's revealed that they're working together to infiltrate said crime syndicate, which Moon Knight then becomes the secretary of, and he gains all the information about all of these criminals, and then Moon Knight and Spider-Man then take down the syndicate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a that's a pretty succinct version of it. It was a very I thought it was a very enjoyable issue. We'll get into some of the points here, Josh. But overall, did you enjoy this issue? I'm sure you did.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a pretty standard story for the time, I think.
Yep. Oh well, actually, I mean, if we start diving into it, one of the big points I thought was how well I think it was concealed, the real motive. What I was really impressed with was the setup of Moon Knight being this bad criminal, because number one, it was right off the bat. He just stole from these other criminals. He took the bullion for himself. And you're kind of thinking, oh, hang on, yeah, I'm pretty sure Moon Knight is a hero. What's going on? And then you see him at that crime syndicate, standing up on stage where they're comparing how much they've stolen. And I thought it was just really good. It really didn't give away much until much later, where you find out that he's working in cahoots with Spider-Man. Even when they first encounter as well, they go at it. And it's only afterwards that you see them talking to each other, going, oh, we've got to keep this jig up. But I thought it was really well done. How, who was it, Bob McLeod? No, I got that wrong already. How Michael Fleischer had written this script. What are your thoughts on this particular point, Josh?
Oh, yeah, I thought, when I first read it, I was like, this seems really odd, but he wouldn't be going and stealing stuff, even if it was sort of flat, because at first I thought maybe it's like a flashback back to, like, his, first run-in.
Yeah.
But then it's revealed that they're working together. I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, you start questioning it, because there's no explanation at the beginning when he flies off with the stuff in the mooncopter. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that was pretty much it. Though I do have to question. So you look at that board, and so he's closed in on, I guess, was it $10 million worth of stuff stolen?
Yeah.
Technically, he still stole all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So do they just give it back then? Be like, oh, we just needed this just so we can do this, and here, have it back.
Yeah, that's true. I reckon maybe off panel, when everyone was defeated, they round up all the prize, all the bullion, and they redistribute it back. I'm hoping, but yeah, you're right. He still does a crime. So when you do the crime, you should be doing the time. But so that was one of the first things for me. I think it was a very nice mechanism from the writer to set up Moon Knight like that. How about yourself, Josh? What stood out for you?
I do like I like how the Fleischer still keeps Moon Knight, like he keeps, even though it's a guest appearance for Moon Knight, he still definitely keeps him in character. Like the characterization is still right, is what I mean. So you still see like Frenchie and Marlene, they're still in there. So, and we see him he still goes by like Mark and Steven too. Yeah. And they go out and he does like his Stephen Grant appearances and stuff. So it's good that he kind of had all the main aspects of the character and they stay within character.
It's so easy for some writers, especially when a character is guesting on another title, to just not really do their research and not embody the character. But as you say, I think he's done a pretty good job here with Moon Knight. So... And having that knowledge of his support cast as well, and actually even having Frenchie come in and cooperate with their, where they're tricking. Like he has Frenchie dress up as Moon Knight to kind of catch the criminals off guard towards Yan, which is good. Frenchie with his huge twirling moustache there.
I was just looking at that. I'm like, that is way bigger than it usually is.
So maybe not Michael Fleischer, but maybe Bob McLeod there, not doing his research. But that is a massive mo, I must say. Far out. Cool. I really also liked, it's funny, there's a lot of little things that I picked up that I really did enjoy. Look, one of the first minor things, I thought, if you look at the very front cover, I love how they've incorporated the title in the main comic book title. So they've actually got a Coffin 4 at the beginning of The Amazing Spider-Man, and then you have Spider-Man in a coffin and Moon Knight opening it. I mean, this really doesn't say much about the issue except for one particular moment, but it really would have you kind of wanting to know what the hell is going on here, as well as, describing Moon Knight as the macabre Moon Knight. It's almost a very kind of Halloween-y kind of thing, isn't it? It's got some webs in the corner as well. But yeah, I loved how it had a coffin fall at the beginning of the Amazing Spider-Man. And if I can just quickly go on to just another little point, I love the nod to Daredevil and his billy clubs and the truncheon, because I reckon a lot of readers would have been making the parallels of Moon Knight. You know, a very new character. He's only been less than a year old when this was printed, or just over a year old. And a lot of people would be thinking, oh, look, he's got Daredevil's billy clubs, doesn't he? And one of the criminals calls it out, and Moon Knight's just thinking to himself, that's Daredevil's weapon, it's not mine. Mine is a truncheon, and he starts spelling it out. And then he says to himself, oh, what's the use, you know, I won't even bother. And he just beats up the guy. Yeah, I like that distinction. So they're really trying to consciously put Moon Knight, you know, on his own and make him his own thing.
Yeah, I laughed too when I read that moment.
Yeah. I mean, any other points there, Josh, that you want to raise?
I do think, the art I think is pretty good too. I especially like the shot on the first page.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just see him on the edge and it just keep billowing. It's a very one Batman reference an episode, so it's a very Batman like pose and shot. But I think it looks pretty cool. And I always it really popped into my mind when I was reading this. I'm like, what? The Moon Knight costume always stands out to me. I guess, okay, maybe it's something I'm not the first person to think of this, obviously, and I've said this before, but like the white really does make him stand out. Like even so he's fighting those first criminals, they're all wearing purple and it's dark, and then he just has that white and he's like glowing in the darkness.
Yeah.
And even like when they're in the museum fighting that first time when he sneaks off, puts the costume on and jumps back, it just really pops out just because he's in a thing where just everyone just wearing like beige and white.
Yeah.
And then this guy all white just jumps out like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'll never grow tired of his costume. I freaking love it.
Yeah, there's so many versions of it as well. I do love this. Yeah, I do love this version as well, the all white, and I love how it intermingles with. You see, obviously his shadowed face, so just the hood and the white eyes, and then at the beginning it just starts out. You see his full white mask underneath the hood as well. Yeah, very striking, isn't it? And it surprises me that someone didn't make that connection. Like, it surprises me that it was Charlie Houston, I think, that coined the first thing. You know, I wear white because I want them to see me coming. It's very, very apt here. And when you were mentioning about the costume there, Josh, I was just thinking of the real life cosplayers who do Moon Knight in the hooded form. And I think in real life, it's actually even more so striking. Like, you know, in comics, you get the tones and the shades, and even here, I think it's mentioned that Moon Knight is black and silver, but he's literally all white. And when you see an all white costume, like in real life in the cosplay, it is quite noticeable, kind of thing, and it comes across a lot more whiter. But yeah, totally agree. I love the stance at the beginning. There's a little nod to Sienkiewicz here with Moon Knight's cape kind of flapping, not quite doing the crescent moon, but it curls around and it frames the goons below quite well. Really, really good. Really cool stuff.
I don't recall really prior to reading this. I haven't read much before, like the 80 run that comes before this. But I think it's like the first time for me actually seeing him in the shot where he's swimming through the pool to get into his room. Yeah. We see him he has the hood down, but he still has, like, I never really realized that he has basically like the Mr. Knight mask on underneath the hood.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I never really noticed that. And I think this is like the first time like I have seen him like with the hood down but still have his head fully covered.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's not that often you see that. I think I'm struggling here. I think in the Defenders, we covered the Defenders run an early run. I think it was in the 70s or early 80s, and it had Moon Knight as well. And you see his mask. He kind of unhoods himself. But yeah, it is quite obvious here as well, actually, and there's no bones about it. And I wonder if this is one of the first major appearances of it, because this is an Amazing Spider-Man comic, and it's one of the big titles from Marvel. So yeah, it's probably one of the first times it was really, really shown quite well. And yeah, of course, I was going to raise that as well, Josh. His secret entrance into his mansion. I don't know if Loonies would remember David Finn from Signal of Doom and myself. That's how we entered Grant Mansion in his Isla Ra episode. I always find it funny how they really tried to persist with this. It's very corny, but I reckon they thought it was really cool. Like, him just jumping, going through some secret underwater tunnel and surfacing out in literally like an indoor pool in his bedroom. And if I can note again, all we see of Marlene is that she is in her underwear on the bed, just waiting for him to return, and go in for a bit of a how shall I say, rumpy pumpy. So obviously you think of the times there as well. I'm glad to see Marlene is a lot more than that, but I'm always just amused how that's how she's depicted in these early iterations. So that was one of the small points I was looking at as well. What I also thought was pretty interesting, and again, this is kind of, I guess we're seeing the development of writing throughout the ages as well. Not long ago, I did a review for like a Superman podcast on the Golden Age and how that was kind of drawn and written, and things are of its time, so you can't really compare critically like from one era to the other than just compare chronologically how they are. And the writing to this I thought was pretty funny. Where I'm going with it is this whole competition with the syndicate. To me, it's very juvenile and childlike, like to have this underground, these hardened criminals. What are we going to do? Yeah, let's have a competition with a chalkboard and let's just tally up how much money that we can rip off people. Like, it's pretty. It's something that you think kids would do. Not ripping off banks and stuff, but like, just doing a competition like that and having Moon Knight on stage as well, representing himself, and it's all pretty funny, I thought. But it's an important part of this story, obviously. Anyway, I don't think you'd see that sort of stuff now. I mean, stories are a lot more, for want of a better word, a lot more intricate, or can be. Or they focus on other things, more like character development and, stuff like that.
I think comics these days need more stories that are kind of like this.
Yeah.
I think I like my kind of like my arcs, but at the same time, I do like just like the one-shot kind of stories that are like this.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's silly or not, obviously we talk so much about the Ellis run,
Mm-hmm.
It's all a bunch of one-shots. Well, even if you have like an arc and then just a one-shot story, something kind of silly and stupid like this,
yeah,
I think it's a fun read, and it has all the elements of, a good comic. It has your action, has your drama, your suspense.
Yeah.
And has your funny moments, Yeah. It has kind of everything. I think some comics are they're lacking in that kind of stuff nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think largely because the characters here, like their roles are clearly defined. Like the criminals are as criminally as you can get, you know what I mean? And it really just makes a really clear distinction between, and their motives as well as, being bad or being good. And in modern runs as well, and there's nothing wrong with it, obviously, it actually enriches it. You get, your anti-heroes or your villains, And there's always you always see it from another perspective, and you actually, and this is the whole character development. You actually can empathize with the villains, and sometimes you might even lean towards them in some instances. Or you have something like Civil War, where you have heroes that you end up like not really liking because of their motives. Over here, back in the day in 1981, very simple, very fun. The good guys are going to win in the end as well. So that's pretty good. And yeah, so I agree. A lot more little fun stories like this. Marvel is releasing. They do release a few one-shots, which I think is pretty good. But we don't see many things like the Warren Ellis, like a whole run dedicated to particular one-shots, one after the other. Yeah, it's very much still a very Warren Ellis-y sort of thing, I think. Yeah, so the other... Oh, sorry, Josh, any another point did you want to raise?
I don't think so. I think they're the only...
Well, how about we talk about this whole thing about the Moon Knight ruse with Spider-Man then? So, as you mentioned in the sliver, if we just expound a little bit on that, so the way that Moon Knight becomes a secretary for the syndicate is that he is asked to actually kill one of these syndicate's greatest foes, which happened to be Spider-Man, which happens to be the superhero that Moon Knight is in cahoots with to try and bring down the syndicate. So it's all very, it all works out very well. But what he does, and I guess this comes back to the title, is that we finally see Spider-Man in a coffin of sorts. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this ruse, Josh? It's I don't know. It's very... Did you find it... I guess it's successful, but, if you're a bit more diligent as a villain, wouldn't you want to make sure? I guess I find out soon enough that it isn't Spider-Man, but if someone came in and they said, yeah, I've killed him, and he's in a coffin, it's a bit weird, right, I don't know why Moon Knight had formalised it so much, like putting him in a coffin. Like, they may as well have had a funeral for him as well.
Yeah, now I think about it, now it is a little cheesy. At the same time, the guys they're kind of dumb for kind of falling for it too.
Yeah.
For falling for that, oh yeah, we're just going to believe that he killed him and brought him in, even though they are suspicious, like, no, I think he's going to double cross us, but yeah, let's believe him anyways.
Yeah. And who's the guy dressed up as Spidey? Did you recognize him?
It's the guy that they took, the sniper that they take out, that they trick.
Oh,
into,
okay.
That they take out. They trick using Frenchie as the decoy Moon Knight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, you're true. Yeah, it does look like him in retrospect. It was because you only really have one panel of the guy in the Spider-Man suit and his face as a reference. But I guess it's implied, yeah, when they do take him out. Well, it's not exactly stated, is it?
That's what I took it as, considering they have him knocked out.
Yeah,
like the couple of panels prior. But that also means that they had to go and get another Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess he just has a couple of them made too. I guess.
Yeah, true. And the guy would have had to have been in the same physical shape as Spider-Man, surely as well. He looks like he's got a little bit of a pot belly there, so that would have been a dead giveaway if. Unless they thought Spider-Man had a bit of a pot belly. But yeah, it's a funny technique used by Fleischer. And again, I think it just adds to the fun of this issue. There's a massive amount of suspending your disbelief in this issue. And it's just a bit of fun, I think.
I like to do at the end how Moon Knight's like, all right, well, we took down this organization. Let's go celebrate. Let's go to the most expensive restaurant we can find, and we'll buy this and that. And then Spider-Man's like, I can't fucking afford that. And he just takes off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it ends on a bit of a sad note. I thought it was a really change of direction, but the issue ends with you kind of feeling a little sad for Spider-Man. I don't know. Did I pick up that wrong? Did you pick up that at all? It just seems that Mark and Frenchie just feel sorry for Spider-Man, but it's not that he's doing bad. I mean, how do they know? I mean, we know from Peter Parker that he's struggling as a photographer and all that, but just because he doesn't want to go to a fancy wine and dining sort of place, it doesn't mean that he's, you know, in the gutter. But yeah, did you pick up on anything like this, Josh?
I think it's more just I think that's just a note for the reader, I guess.
Yeah,
really. Not necessarily. I think if this was in quote unquote real life, I don't think that's something they would really say. Yeah,
true. But like, it's weird though. Spider-Man's, I don't know. I haven't read enough of around this time, but he's never, for me, he's never really kind of seen as a lonely character. You know, he's obviously always a solo guy, and he has guest stars and all that. But there's never been this implication that he's been lonely. Not at all. So. If anything, it's ironic because Moon Knight is such a lone wolf. We know later on he's actually more isolated than Spider-Man. But yeah,
I do think that the only thing I would say is that it does sort of kind of wrap up sort of quickly, and I don't know if that's partially because of the backup story at the end.
Yes,
or maybe this is just as long as as Fleischer wrote it, and then they just got that backup story just to fill up the 22 pages.
Yeah. True. Yeah, which is first. Yeah, true.
Because really, the whole Aunt May story is kind of pointless.
Oh yeah, I didn't even bother to read it. Yeah, did you read it?
I read it the first time that I read this,
yeah.
But rereading it to preparing for this, I didn't bother.
Yeah.
Just paging through it now, it's like. Some guy tries like strangle Aunt May or something. It's like, what the heck is going on? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see that now. I'm looking through it. Yeah. I'm not really interested in that sort of thing. But anyway, I might have a read of it after this episode. Actually, it did remind me as well, Josh. Before I say that, and I think I've mentioned to it, Loonies on the newsletter. So, Amazing Spider-Man 220 isn't really technically the next appearance of Moon Knight throughout his history, like chronological order. It was actually Marvel Team Up Annual number 4, which had Moon Knight, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Iron Fist all up against the Purple Man. We actually have reviewed that already, Connor and I, all the way back in episode 2 of Into the Night. I'll put the link to that in our show notes if you want to, out of interest, just have a listen to our review of that. But that actually comes before, and this is the next one. So, of course, we didn't want to just cover it again. So we've just skipped that. And, we're on to Amazing Spider-Man 220. All right, Josh. Well, if there are no other points... hang on, let me just... One little quick... I thought I had one more point. No, that's all pretty good. Moon ratings. What would you rate Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, 220, A Coffin for Spider-Man?
I think I'd probably give it like a 3/4 moon.
Oh yeah, lovely. That's
probably.
Let me just put that.
Yeah. I think it's a good one-shot team-up story. I think.
Yeah.
And it has the good twists with the Moon Knight working for the bad guys, but it's all ploy.
Yeah.
I think, I enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. 3/4 moon, which is, technically 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to be technical again because I love being technical. I'm going to give it just under a 3/4 moon. So for me, I think that is then a waning gibbous, I believe. Waning being slightly less. So that would be about a 7 out of 10, I'd say. I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was really good. Very, very 80s. It's kind of like those action films in the 80s as well, Josh, where there's no accountability for anything. Just reminds me of that, like Commando and all that, where Arnie can come in and he can just start shooting and kill like 200 people and not even think about it. It's that kind of... I know it sounds weird, but that kind of fun, because it's just very much just for entertainment, and no one's really dead or going to die and stuff. Same over here. You know who the villains are. You know the good guys are going to win. Nothing was really there was no like massive deaths or no deaths at all. Really, it was all about people stealing money. So 7 out of 10 I thought would be a pretty good indication. A waning gibbous for Amazing Spider-Man 220. Yeah, well, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. Thank you once again, Loonies. Josh Geronimo Johnson, thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no worries. It's always fun to have you on. So anytime, please do come join us. Before you go, Josh, would I please be able to ask you what we have going on in the next phase?
Yep, so the next phase is Waxing Crescent, so that's the modern run, so that's going to be issue 3 of the Warren Ellis run.
Excellent, and that should be a ripper. We have enjoyed so much the Warren Ellis run, and we're edging towards the issue 5, Josh. I know you and I hold that in high regard.
Yes.
A very, very cool issue. Issue 3, no less so. So check that out. That is the one with... it gets very supernatural. And we do see another iteration of Moon Knight, which is a lot of fun. So that will be next week. Yeah, awesome stuff.
Punk rock ghosts.
Sorry, what was that?
I said punk rock ghosts.
Punk rock ghosts, yes, absolutely. It's anything Ellis does is it's got an edge of cool to it. It's really good. As usual, Loonies, you can email us on itkmoonnight@gmail.com. We have a blog site, intothenightpodcast.wordpress.com, for all our newsletters, all our episode summaries, everything there for your fancy. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/itkmoonnight, and a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/itkmoonnight. We're also on Twitter with our handle @itkmoonnight, and of course you can find us on Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube. Just search for Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. Finally, we're on all good podcast catchers, and if I could ask once again, if you do like what you hear, if you could please leave us an iTunes rating, review, 5 stars, that would be really good. It just helps other Loonies find this podcast as well. So we just love doing this. We love having people on, like fellow Loonies, like Josh. And yeah, let's keep the Moon Knight flame burning. Alrighty, that is it from us. Once again, Josh, a big thank you. I think we'll be seeing you again soon as well for possibly the other classic review.
Awesome. That's the Avengers,
The Avengers,
right?
yeah. That is, I'm looking at the sheet now, that is our next classic review. So that's in a fair few weeks, but yeah, it should be good to catch you then as well. Cool. Anyway, Loonies, thank you, take care, enjoy the rest of New York Comic Con, and as we always say, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
See you, mates.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.